And I will now give the floor quickly to Laura, also known as String and Can, who will introduce somebody she knows quite well, who is our English speaker. So Laura, I give you the floor now.
Hi. Yes, I have the great honor of introducing Becky Vaughn. Becky Vaughn has a Master's of Education, wow, and has been working in the addictions field for 39 years. She served as CEO of the Georgia Council on Substance Abuse, the State Associations of Addiction Services, that's SAAS in acronym form, and after their merger with the National Council for Behavioral Health as Vice President for Addictions. Those organizations are located in Washington, D.C. Within that role, she has always maintained her focus on policy, training, and technical assistance. She's currently supporting the Colombo Plan, that's headquartered in Sri Lanka, as the director of the Global Center for Credentialing and Certification, GCCC. She's passionate about professionalizing the workforce to reduce the demand for drugs through prevention, treatment, and recovery support. Her, what I would say even bigger accomplishment would have been carrying me in her belly to 9 months when a being is ostensibly too big to fit out the birth canal, and then somehow got me outside. And those of you who know me, any inkling of talent that I might have doing long consecutive into English, you'll see where that comes from. Apple not far from the tree. So thank you, Amerivox, for letting me ad lib there and for letting me introduce Becky Vaughn. And I'm so glad that she also gets to be here with you all, some of my favorite people in the interpreting world. All right.
Sorry, if I can just chime in quickly. Becky, did you want to share your slides, or would you prefer we do that? We're all queued up and ready to go if you'd rather we do it.
I think I can share my screen without any problem. I was just about to do it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. And let's see if we can make it go now. Oh, sorry. I'm having trouble with the Zoom bar at the top, being able to get to, sorry, my problem.
You might be able to move the Zoom bar around.
That's what I was,
drag that.
Oh, there it goes. There it goes. That's what I was trying to do. Okay, thank you, Laura. She is also one of my favorite people. As you have already figured out, she is my daughter. And I too am very excited about being here today and sharing some of the things that I enjoy talking about. After all these years in the field, I somehow still find it exciting to talk about what people are doing to address addiction worldwide. And I'm excited that you guys chose this as a topic for today. So let's get started. The Global Center, as Laura mentioned, the Global Center for Credentialing and Certification, which I direct, was founded in 2009 as the training and credentialing arm of the drug advisory program of the Colombo Plan, which, as she said, is located in Sri Lanka. Come on. Okay. Basically, we envision a world where everyone has access to quality addiction services that promote health and well-being of individuals, families, and communities. To that end, our mission is to provide experience verification and appropriate exams to ensure that governments and other employers are hiring and utilizing the most qualified professionals. That is all about improving the likelihood of positive outcomes for individuals, families, and communities. While training is essential, it's important that we make sure that there are minimum standards to work in the field in order to protect vulnerable populations in need of substance use disorder, or SUD, services. An ICAP certification indicates that a professional has the knowledge and skills to utilize evidence-based practices in their work. We currently have over 1,700 credentialed professionals in 69 countries, and the pandemic has certainly slowed down our testing ability, but we have developed other options currently and have over 500 in the queue ready to take exams in the next 5 months. Our pass rate is right around 69%, which is about where it should be. We don't want an exam that's too easy. We want people to be proud of their certification, but we don't obviously want it to be so hard that it is not really appropriately testing what people need to know. But all of the details can be found at our website, globalccc.org. Overall, we have a goal that practitioners are utilizing best practices when providing treatment for substance use disorders. We believe the best way is to professionalize the workforce by encouraging individual counselors to seek certification, but there also needs to be incentives for them to do that. We want employers to incentivize certification, either with the requirement or at least preferential consideration in hiring. We also know that in addition to working from the ground up, we need top-down activity. So we also work with governments to help them understand the importance of protecting their population by requiring people working in the field to have either national or international certification. To that end, we have a government progression tool that we have developed to help decision makers understand where they are and how to move forward to achieve a professional workforce. As you can see, our tool identifies 7 broad stages where many countries currently operate. These are general descriptions, and not all countries will fit neatly into a category, nor necessarily move in this order. But we find the tool to be helpful. So let's take a closer look. Sadly, there are still countries in the world where little or no addiction services are available. They often see it only as a criminal justice issue. So we identify this as our lowest step. Most countries we work with are beyond this stage, but it helps them to see that they have at least made some progress. In our second stage, NGOs provide some private services, but there's no real government oversight. Governments may or may not recognize the problem, but they don't interfere with these services. In the next stage, we see governments establish an agency to collect data and provide services. They recognize the problem, allocate resources, identify tasks, and assign these to an existing or possibly new agency. They use the data to determine needs and often provide minimal services. In stage 4, we often see facilities and or some workforce certification, but it's not mandatory. An NGO may establish criteria and a process for certification. The government often encourages or at least does not interfere with the certification body. By stage 5, governments are supporting best practice training for their workforce. They recognize the need to protect their citizens and often fund the training and partner with service providers to ensure the use of best practices. Countries at stage 6 are doing very well and requiring facilities to be certified. This is often something that is familiar and not new to them, as they often certify things like hospitals. They establish criteria and a process for facilities. They provide funding to support the government oversight and establish sanctions for noncompliance. Level 7 is our goal for all governments. They are requiring workforce certification in order for people to practice in the field. They establish by law or regulation the criteria and process for certification. They provide funding to support either their own process, or they recognize already established national or the ICAP international certification as meeting the requirement. To ensure this certification, they establish sanctions for noncompliance. So at what stage is your country? We work with governments to establish and help them decide where they are. And then we want to know what kind of technical assistance they might need in order to move forward. We are collecting model laws and regulations and other resources to help countries understand what they need to put in place. And we offer our services to do just that. I appreciate your time and attention to something that may not seem overly important in the field of drugs, but we have learned that the best way to reduce the demand for drugs is to make sure prevention, treatment, and recovery support services are available. When we do that, the demand for drugs goes down. And the best way to make sure that people are getting appropriate services is to make sure their workforce is trained in the latest evidence-based practices and that they have the opportunity to use them, and people in their country can access those services. Thanks again for your attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.